Most friendships go through their share of ups and downs, times when the relationship feels effortless and times when it's hard work.
The documentary Spilled Milk traces a friendship and a battle with sickle cell disease. It's a rare blood disorder that causes intense pain and organ and joint damage. The Fox Medical Team's Beth Galvin is here now in studio with the story tonight for us. Beth?
And Tom and Sine, when Omar Beach was first asked to make this documentary about him, he said no because he didn't think that people really wanted to see a film about him. But he gradually changed his mind and he agreed to let his best friend tell the story of what it is like to live with sickle cell disease.
She went into Omar's room and he wasn't responding to her.
Spilled Milk is the story of best friends Omar Beach and Jakai Mickelson, one living with sickle cell disease.
The last thing I want is pity or like sadness and stuff like that, you know.
The other hoping to capture his friend's story.
I had no idea what I was getting myself into, by the way.
When they met at their San Diego high school back in the early 90s, Omar didn't talk much about his diagnosis.
I kept most people at sort of an arm's length.
A decade later, when Omar moved to Georgia to live with his mother, Jakai quit his job in LA and followed his friend, convincing a reluctant Omar to let him document his sickle cell story on camera.
It was almost like an out of sight, out of mind thing. Like, oh, Omar's in the hospital, but he'll be back. And that was just the rhythm we got into. But throughout this process, it's been like, Omar's in the hospital, and I'm there with him, and this is excruciating.
Percocet.
In one scene of the film, Omar shows all of the medications that he's taking. In another, he's in the ER, shaking, in a pain crisis.
It does something to you to see your adult son crying in pain. And there is nothing you can do.
It took time for both men to get used to the camera between them.
It's an interesting sort of dichotomy because on one hand, my best friend is there, so therefore like I have some sort of comfort level, but then at the same time, a photographer is there.
Like my instinct is, like, I want to put this camera down and go comfort him. But the reality was that's some of the most powerful footage that we got.
The day of the film's premiere, Omar lands in the ICU in a medically induced coma with deadly sepsis.
They got all this crazy equipment and he's got the tubes hooked up. We prayed for Omar over his bed.
Omar pulled through, and a few months later at a surprise 40th birthday party, his family and friends gathered from across the country to screen this film that he says Jakai got right.
I think it's great. I think Jakai made something amazing.
And Omar has had a rough year. He's had 2 hip surgeries. He's facing a hip replacement, but he says he pushes on. And if you want to see the documentary Spilled Milk, you'll find a link to it on fox5atlanta.com. Just look for the health section for this story. And I've watched it, and Tom and Sine, it is powerful stuff. Yeah. It is really, if you've never learned much about sickle cell disease and want to see how devastating it is, you know, this is a powerful story.
And part of the effectiveness is that relationship that they had and seeing some of the good times that they had together.
Absolutely,
when they were both
and it's
young.
important to point out that it's not just, you know, about the disease, but it's about living with this disease.
Yeah, well, Omar's perseverance through that pain and those difficult struggles is really amazing.
It is.
Thank you,
Thank you, Beth.